Am I the jerk for comparing my parents to other parents like how they compare me to my peers? My parents are immigrants and always compare me to my friends, family, their friends' children, and random successful children they see online. This all started because my father saw me playing a game after I had finished my homework and gave me a lecture on how I should not be playing games but should be studying. He started complaining about my grades. Truthfully, I do not know what my parents are complaining about because I am a straight A student. I literally got 100% in a class, but they do not care because it is not math. My parents act like I am going to become homeless because I am not getting 100% in every single class when I have above 90% in every class I take. He started comparing me to some student he read about in the paper who actually did get 100% in every class, and I got so frustrated. I told them that compared to my friends' parents, they cannot speak or read English, so I have to do everything for them, including tagging along to every store to buy things for them. All my friends have parents to help them with school if they are stuck, yet my parents never completed elementary school. Because of their ignorance, they refused to take me to a dentist until a few months ago because I was in so much pain. Then they even argued with the dentist on treatment. I explained how hard it is to be their translator because they always interrupt the other person while speaking to talk to me while I am trying to listen and then translate. Every representative blows up at me because of their behavior and tells me to make my parents be quiet. None of my friends have to deal with that. I feel like they dumped the responsibility on me to raise myself. I had to figure everything out on my own. I had to teach my parents that I needed glasses, needed regular dental care, developed good study habits on my own, and arrived to school on time because they always made me late, and my teachers blamed me. I ended up telling my parents that they do not get to lecture me on my grades because they dropped out and know nothing about the school system. My mother told me that I was too harsh and said I needed to apologize to my father because he was really hurt by what I said, but I feel like I told the truth. I know that other children would never say that to their own parents, but they always compare me to my peers to point out all my flaws. I honestly believe that they are lucky to have me. Am I the asshole? I think you are not in the wrong here. Your parents are setting the bar unrealistically high, and striving for 100% in every class is not a healthy or sustainable goal. This kind of comparison is poisonous in both directions and can really mess with someone's self-esteem. Your grades are already excellent, and you should be proud of your achievements. If you feel comfortable, consider having a calm conversation with them and explaining how their comparisons and lack of support make you feel. Am I the jerk for not cleaning my house for the buyers when I sold it? I am a first-time home seller. We closed last month and got our rent back for about 3 weeks. Prior to moving out, I asked our realtor if I needed to have the house cleaned. Our realtor confirmed that no, we did not need to have the home cleaned, as our contract states the home was being sold. As is. She further stated that it was not an expectation that we would have it professionally cleaned prior to moving out. I also knew the buyers were planning to do some construction on the house prior to moving in, so I figured the house would get dirty from that, and they'd clean it once construction was finished. The buyers did a walkthrough prior to closing with no comments, and we also accommodated their multiple requests to coordinate with their contractors so they could come by and take measurements. Several days after we moved out, we heard from our realtor that the buyers want to withhold some of our rent back deposit for deep cleaning of the house, cleaning of the fireplace, and dead plants in the backyard. The items they specifically listed as needing to be cleaned were not cleaned prior to closing. The fireplace, under the kitchen sink, and the oven were not clean. The plants they listed as being dead are either seasonal, so they turned brown in the summer when we moved out and green in the spring when they bought the house, or were dead when they bought it. Staging pictures prove that. They are upset that the yard looked lush and green in the spring when they bought it, and looks like it hasn't been watered in a while now. We live in a part of California that is hot and dry in the summer, and the plants we planted in the yard are native to the area to withstand the summers and droughts we often have. But they do naturally turn brown in the summer. I understand that it would be unpleasant to move into a house you feel isn't up to your standards of cleanliness and having to clean up someone else's mess, even if you unknowingly contractually agreed to it. I also understand that it can be surprising and upsetting to see what looks like several dead plants in the backyard when you remember things being more green. I don't think we're at fault because of the plant situation. But am I the asshole for not deep cleaning the house prior to moving out? You did nothing wrong here. Listen to your realtor. She's the professional you hired to help you through this process. The home was sold as is, and if the buyers have any issues, they need to go through the realtor, not you. It's common for lawns to turn brown in the summer and for buyers to do construction before moving in. If the new buyers are upset, remind them of the contractual language and move on. Am I the jerk for blowing up on my parent and telling them they can't see my child? Alright, so a little backstory. I am a 19-year-old male, and I have a fiancée. Let's call her Kay, who is a 19-year-old female. We have an 8-month-old little girl. All my life, my dad has basically done nothing for me. He would call to tell my mom and me where to go so I could stay with him for the summer, and then ghost us, and I wouldn't hear from him again for months. He is still way behind on child support for not only me, but for 2 of my other siblings. He's always just been hateful and mean. I have tried to talk to him and have a relationship with him, especially since now I have a child, and I want him to be a part of her life. We talked and stayed civil at least for a couple of years. I used to live with him when I was around 16 and worked at the same place as him. He stole around $1,000 from me in total while I lived with him. He would promise to pay it back or buy me something I wanted to make up for it, and I never got anything. I would help with bills and buy my own special things so he didn't have to. My fiance and I just got a puppy about 3 months ago. My dad called and asked if we wanted to come stay with him for the weekend. Our puppy wasn't housebroken yet and couldn't be alone for that long, and we don't have anyone to watch the pup, so we asked if we could bring him with us. After a little convincing, my dad agreed. We got to his house, and everything was fine for the entire visit. I actually had a good time. Now, for the part where I might be the asshole. My pup is from a litter of 6. My older brother got my pup's sister and found out she had sarcoptic mange, which is a type of mange dogs can get from a parasite called scabies. We thought my pup had it because his ears were crusty and started to split. I called my father and told him about my brother's dog and how my pup might have had it. He went on a whole rant, telling me I should be ashamed of myself for bringing an animal around my 8-month-old daughter, and called me a terrible father. I was honestly kind of shocked and responded with, "You have no right to tell me how I am as a father when you have 6 kids and only 2 talk to you, me and my 13-year-old brother." He told me I was neurotic and told me to go fuck myself. I didn't respond at that point. A couple of weeks later, I saw that Godzilla -1 is on Netflix. My father and I are huge Godzilla fans, so I tried to call him. No answer. I tried again a few hours later. No answer. I called my little brother just to find out my dad blocked me because he doesn't put up with bullshit. So I told him and his wife that my family will no longer be a part of his cultish family and how I will not allow my daughter to be around that kind of toxicity. He just yelled and told my little brother he was no longer allowed to talk to me. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. Your father sounds unhinged, and you had plenty of reasons to go no contact with him years ago. Every single time, he falls short of anything a father should be and only ends up hurting and disappointing you. You were justified in telling him he has no right to call you a bad parent, especially when his actions have shown who he truly is. Am I the jerk for choosing to buddy up with my best friend over my stepsister on our school ski trip? My high school organizes a ski trip for juniors every year in April or May. This year, we went in May. My stepsister and I, both 17 years old, went on the trip. My mother and her husband expected us to choose each other as roommates for the trip, but my best friend and I had already made plans well in advance. Additionally, I did not like the idea of having my stepsister as a roommate. I do not care much for her, and since we already lived together, I wanted a break. One student ended up not coming because she was sick, leading to an uneven number of students, so we were asked to choose roommates again. I chose my best friend again. My best friend and my stepsister do not like each other at all, so my stepsister was never a contender to share with us. She ended up rooming with 2 other girls. My mother and her husband were very upset when they learned my stepsister had to room with 2 girls she did not really know. They told me I should have chosen my stepsister over my best friend, especially since my best friend has more friends and would have had more fun without me than my stepsister could. The issues between my best friend and my stepsister started back in 2nd grade, before my stepsister was my stepsister. The situation worsened when my mother remarried because my stepsister wanted me to choose her over my best friend, which I never have and never will. She wanted a sister and best friend in one, but I did not want that. Her jealousy has since become unbearable. She complains that I do things with my best friend, such as share a bed when we had to share a room on vacation, or shop for my best friend's birthday while letting my mother take care of gifts for her. She is jealous that my best friend and I have matching friendship necklaces. She pestered me for selfies together because I have loads of pictures with my best friend, one of which is the contact photo on my phone, but nothing special with her. I tried to hang out with my stepsister a few times, but she expected me to drop my best friend, so I stopped hanging out with her. My stepsister was hurt that I did not choose her as my roommate. Her father was angry and took my phone and laptop for a week. My mother let him do this and told me it could have been a good chance for us to have a sister moment. When I made a face, she told me I could have my stepsister a lot longer than my best friend. I responded that even if my best friend and I drift apart in the future, I would not see my stepsister as my sibling or sister. My mother said that was unfortunate because she is my sister, and I cannot change that even if I do not want her to be. She also told me there was no excuse for not ensuring my stepsister was with me on the trip, and that I had chosen badly. This topic is still a really annoying issue in our house, even a month later. Am I the asshole? You are not the jerk. A forced relationship is never going to work, and you guys just don't mesh together, and that's fine. It's unfair for your parents to expect you to sacrifice your preferences and friendships for the sake of their blended family dynamic. Your stepsister's jealousy and possessiveness are not your responsibility to manage. You're allowed to have multiple close relationships without having to choose one over the other. Am I the jerk for telling my mom her house is unwelcoming? So, my mother is on her 6th marriage, to whom she has now been married to my stepfather for around 5 years. Growing up, she always had super strict rules to the point you got yelled at for shoes being left by the front door. At a pool party, she went and bought big plastic runners to put down so not a drop of water got inside. At one point, there was a living room where you were not allowed to sit on any of the furniture. At that point, she was average middle class like I am today with 2 teenagers. Jump forward 20-30 years. Now I have 3 boys ages 8, 12, and 16. And my mother and my stepfather, who is very wealthy, live nearby. They bought a farm and built my stepfather's multi-million-dollar dream home. They said their goal was to entertain, and my mother's one requirement was that it was kid-friendly for her grandkids. Well, the craziness started before the house was even built. The kids would bring their 4-wheelers out and would be told they could only ride in the back of the farm where you could not see the tire marks from the road. They treat the 30 acres as a golf resort. They built a pond with a liner for my boys to fish, since that is their biggest hobby. Well, now no hooks can get close to the liner. No skipping rocks. Kayaks can only be paddled in certain areas and so forth. Then the house. It is beautiful, with game rooms, a movie room, and everything someone who wanted to entertain hundreds of people would want. Yet they have a 15-guest rule. The family is divided into days to come visit. It is full of expensive furniture to the point that for meals, we end up eating outside or at the game card table to prevent stains. The couch has to be sat on properly. On the floors, no shoes and only clean socks, no bare feet. They will not let their dog come in this house as he sheds, so he has his own garage. The game room cannot be used unless they are there for fear of scratches or damage. The movie theater cannot be used unless they are also in there. I have good kids, who usually have to show them how to work all this stuff. It is so frustrating, and the kids get to the point they do not want to visit due to all the rules. So my mother was upset, saying she felt like my boys did not want to come stay there anymore. But anytime you go, it is so unwelcoming and stressful. She blames it on my stepfather as he never had kids. But growing up, she was hard to please as well. So I told her the reason the kids do not want to come is because they created this place that could be so fun, but they made it unwelcoming. Now she is upset at me and says if I cannot respect her rules, then to not come over. You are not in the wrong here. You simply told her the truth, and her response was unwelcoming. It sounds like she doesn't actually want guests anyway. I hope they enjoy wandering around their vast estate alone. Am I the jerk for refusing to move my wedding date because of my competitive stepsister? My stepsister Ren has always been competitive with me. It was mostly fueled by her mother, who was always extremely competitive between the families, but Ren kept it up. I'll admit I fed into it a bit when we were teenagers, but I grew out of it. She never did. She goes out of her way to try to one-up me, and she thinks everything I do is to one-up her, which isn't the case. Ren is getting married in November, and she's been planning the wedding for over a year. I got engaged a month ago. My fiancé works an extremely high-pressure job, and because of the nature of his job, next year and the year after will be incredibly stressful. It's part of the reason he proposed when he did. I don't want to wait 2 years to get married, so I got in touch with a wedding planner who was able to work something out so that we can get married in August. It will be an extremely small wedding, a reception dinner of about 20 people over one weekend. This is in contrast to the 150-person traditional wedding that Ren has planned. Ren is livid that we're planning to get married before her. She knows the reasons but still insists that I have planned this to upstage her wedding. She is giving her father no end of trouble for putting money towards my wedding and helping me to humiliate her. She is also causing trouble among mutual friends she has with my fiancé. This is not a huge deal because they're not wanting to get involved, but it was extremely embarrassing because she announced the date of our wedding before we did. My mother and her father are now hinting that maybe we should move the wedding. They keep saying maybe a winter wedding would be better, and that it would be nice if the family could attend both weddings with everyone on good terms. My stepbrother has also said that while he knows I didn't do it on purpose, because of past issues this will be extremely hard for Ren to get past. He also said I was naive for thinking that just because my wedding is different from hers, that she would let it go. He may be right about that. I still don't really want to change the date of the wedding. I don't think doing it in the winter will appease Ren, and to have to wait over a year just because of her childish vendetta seems grossly unfair. But I don't like being the one to rock the boat, and I do sometimes feel a bit sorry for Ren. Maybe this isn't the time to take a stand. I really don't know if I'm in the wrong here. I think you are not in the wrong here. Ren sounds spoiled as hell, and your family is doing nothing to change that. If you move your wedding, she will be happy for the moment, until she manufactures a new problem. Do what's right for you because she will continue to complain and create new competitions. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.